Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Chosen by God Ministries, where we are connecting people to God through His Word, His work, and His worship. Won't you come on in and join us for our workshop on tonight? We want to thank you so much for being with us as we are embarking on some new things through our ministry, as we want to help people during this virtual time and during this pandemic. And our topic tonight is navigating the virtual job search. And we have some actual recruiters that do this for a living, both in corporate and in the government setting. And they're going to talk to you and share with you some critical information so that you can be successful during your job search. And at the end of their presentation, we will be taking questions. So please put your questions in the chat, and that way we'll be able to see them and we will address them at the end of our presentation. So please like and share this video. I'm sure even if you are employed, you still need to understand we all keep our resumes in tip-top shape, because you never know when that great, awesome opportunity is going to present itself. So we want to make sure that we're all job ready. So our special guest on tonight, our first guest is Miss Untitled Chapter. Let me add Miss. All right. How you doing, Untitled?
How are you?
I'm doing well. Had the wonderful opportunity to actually work with Miss VZ. We worked together very shortly before she abandoned me. While we worked together, she was absolutely awesome, absolutely awesome in what she did. She made my job so much easier. I definitely missed her when she left, but of course she went on to greener pastures, and she's just doing wonderful and magnificent things in her career, and I'm so proud of her and so glad that we can still be connected even outside of the workplace. So I'm going to let Chantel introduce herself, and we'll move right into your presentation. All right, thanks, Chantel, so much for joining us on tonight.
Pastor Patty, thank you so much for inviting me and giving me this platform to share and be a blessing to others. So, hi, everyone. I am Chantel VZ. I am a corporate recruiter. I have about 10 years of experience in the recruiting space. During my time, I've worked for several organizations, both mid-sized and large. I have had the pleasure of working for Fortune 500 companies as well. So today, what I'd like to do is teach you how to navigate your job search during these virtual times. I will take you through a presentation, and at the end of the presentation, I'll answer any questions that you may have. Okay. So I hope everyone is able to see my screen. So today we're going to focus on navigating the virtual job search. And my presentation will focus on corporate recruiting. Later we'll have someone else kind of go over the government pieces. So job searching in 2021 will be different than what you've experienced in the past. I know everyone is tired of hearing the words unprecedented and 2020 altogether. So I am going to say that this last year was extremely unordinary, and many of us are eager to put 2021 in the past. However, the coronavirus pandemic took a toll on every aspect of our lives, including the way we work and what our job searches look like. And while we're starting to see glimmers of hope and light at the end of the tunnel, there are still a lot of variables that could affect the economy. If you're one of the many people who's currently looking for a new job or planning to start a job search soon, here are some tips that you may find helpful when looking for a job in 2021. So first, let's talk about what the 2021 job trends look like. Historical job trends won't apply. In the past, we've typically seen hiring surges at the start of a new year and again in the fall, while the summer and holiday seasons have tended to be slower. But this may not be the case in 2021. As you may notice, in January and February of this year, there weren't many jobs posted. I foresee more jobs being posted during the summer months, which in the past have tended to be slower times. Take note of the key industries that may be booming during this time. While a lot of organizations and companies are not hiring, there are several companies that are in several industries that are continuing to grow during these times. Tech industries, with everything switching to virtual, there are many technology companies that are hiring at this time. Healthcare, medical research, and e-commerce, all of those are booming industries and they'll have job openings. What you want to do is identify your transferable skills. So take stock of the skills you have from previous industries and determine which skills will be most relevant and transferable to these industries. Contract work. Contract work will also be on the rise. Many companies are hesitant to hire employees full time for fear of layoffs. So more employers are hiring contract to perm. I know, in the past, you may have viewed those as temporary jobs, but I wouldn't rule those out of your job searches because people are just being more conservative with their job hires right now. So they're bringing people on contractual, and as long as the company continues to do well, they'll convert you to full time. Another job trend that you're going to continue to see, remote work is here to stay. For someone like myself, I love it. I've worked completely remote for most of 2020 and I really enjoyed it. And I can tell you, most companies are looking to stay remote. The remote work trend has opened so many possibilities for people all over the country. This means that not only can you apply to usual jobs in your area, but you can also apply for jobs that may be based across the country. So you'll often see jobs now that are located where it would have said like located in Maryland or located in Minnesota is now saying remote because they're open to hiring people all across the country. Please note that remote jobs tend to receive more applicants, creating more competition for those roles. So I've seen, although these positions are posted remote, many organizations tend to hire people that are still based locally. But it still opens your pool, and you do have the option to apply for positions that are posted remote. Be prepared for interviewers to ask you if you are comfortable working remote. What they're looking to gauge is, are you looking to return to the office? Because our company may never return to the office 100%. So just be prepared for interviewers to ask you this question and, answer it honestly. If you're a person that really thrives on being in the office around others, then, a remote role may not be for you. But just know that that is something that you're going to see more of in 2021. Companies will continue to expand their focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. One major bright spot in the 2021 job market is that there's going to be a trend towards diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. We all kind of saw what happened in 2020 with George Floyd and the protests, and it raised awareness in ways that I don't think any of us thought would happen. And many companies are making DE&I a priority for them. I know my organization, we hired a director of diversity, equity, and inclusion because we wanted people to focus on our diversity initiatives. The good news is there will be more opportunities in the job market for women, people of color, and folks from other underrepresented groups, including an uptick in internships and entry-level jobs aimed at recruiting job seekers from marginalized groups into industries like tech or finance. However, be prepared for interview questions centered on diversity, equity, and inclusion. One of those questions could be, how do you enjoy working on a team with people from different backgrounds and cultures? Or describe a time that you've had to work on a team with people from different backgrounds and cultures. How were you able to handle this? What challenges did you face? So during your interview, just be prepared for those kind of questions. Recruiting will continue to become more automated. With unemployment rates at 6.3%, there is an abundance of applicants for each role. So hiring teams are increasingly turning to automated systems to help them manage the influx of applications. In order to have your resume seen by these automated systems, be sure to list keywords from the job description on your resume. So I'll give you an example. As a recruiter, once the unemployment rates rose, instead of receiving maybe 20 applicants for a role, I was receiving maybe 200 applicants for a role. I could not go through all 200 applications. So what I did was use keywords. So if a manager told me he was looking for a specific system for someone to have experience for, or have worked on a specific skill set, I would search for those keywords. So my recommendation for you would be, when you write your resume, use keywords from the actual job description and plug them into your resume. That will help your resume get seen, especially as things are being automated. So now that we've gone through kind of what the 2021 trends are, I'm going to take you through different job tips on helping you find a job. So let's start at the basics. To be successful at finding a job, you need to locate the job openings. You can locate job openings on job boards such as LinkedIn and Indeed. Those ones tend to be the most popular, but there are others such as ZipRecruiter or targeted job boards based on your profession. So, expand your search and look on different job boards. Apply to as many roles that you are interested in and qualified to perform. Notice the word that I use, qualified. Do not waste your time or the recruiters applying for jobs that you are not qualified to perform. For example, if you're an accountant, don't apply for an HR job. However, if you have 3 years of accounting experience and the job is asking for 5, I recommend applying for that job, as some companies will allow you to substitute education for years of experience. Be strategic. Don't send your resume out everywhere. Laser in on the right job posting for you, and then fine tune your resume for that specific posting. So if you remember, I previously stated taking keywords from the job description and plugging them into your resume. Things like that will help you get seen, help your application get seen. And it's better to submit a few thoughtfully tailored, high quality applications than to apply for every job in sight. If you spend your day applying to 20 jobs and you don't tailor your resume to any of them, you haven't read through the job descriptions to see if you're even qualified, that is not a good use of your time. So rather than applying to 20 jobs, I would rather you apply to 5 high quality um, I would rather you submit 5 high quality applications that you've tailored, that you've taken the time to look into. Organize your job search and keep track of what positions you're applying to. This may seem like not important, but it really is. It's so many times I've called a candidate, and as a recruiter, it is the worst thing to call a candidate and they have no recollection of the job, the company, etc. I've even heard people say, "Oh, I've applied to so many jobs. Which one is this?" So make sure you're keeping track of your applications that you're applying to. If you're like me, you may even keep them on a spreadsheet if you're applying to so many. If not, as you submit a job application, I recommend moving that into a specific folder within your email. So if you use Gmail, move it towards into a specific folder in Gmail just to keep track of what you've applied to. Another thing that I recommend is saving the job descriptions, because sometimes you may apply to a job and the job description is online, but if they reach out to you 3 to 4 weeks from now, that job posting is no longer active. So you have no point of reference when speaking with them. So just keep track of what positions you're applying to. Have patience and manage your stress. Understand that finding a new job can take some time, so you will need to be patient, and try not to stress waiting to hear back from a job. Instead, continue to focus on looking at other jobs and making yourself the best qualified candidate if they were to reach out to you. So, how do you find a job? I talked about the online job boards. That is a great resource, especially in this virtual environment that we're in. Indeed, LinkedIn, those to me are some of the most popular. Zip Recruiter is another one, and then targeted job boards as well. So, if you are an HR professional, SHRM, SHRM has a job board just for HR professionals, and that takes me to professional associations. If certain professions require you to have certain certifications in HR, there's the SHRM certification. For accounting professionals, there's the CPA. So partner with those professional associations, reach out to them, share your resume with them, let them know that you're on the job market, go to their website. Sometimes they post the jobs there. So leveraging professional associations is a great way for you to find out about jobs. Diversity friendly organizations is another one. As I mentioned, diversity, equity, and inclusion is going to be a priority for many organizations. So find diversity friendly organizations in your local community and share with them that you're on the job market. Internships for more junior applicants is a great way to gain valuable experience and get a foot into a company. Staffing agencies. So I will say this. I think staffing, if you're looking for a job and you need a job like immediately, I think a staffing agency is a great way to go. I will say be selective in what staffing agencies you choose to work with, because a lot of them are all reaching out to the same companies. So if you share your resume with 5 different staffing agencies, chances are they're sharing your resumes with the same people. And you don't want to look like you're not strategic in your job search. So I always say, it's a good idea to work with a staffing agency, but you don't want to work with too many. Virtual job fairs. A lot of companies, especially companies in like the government space, I've seen that they've done a lot of virtual job fairs, and you can find them just by searching on Google. Different community agencies, and networking is always going to be very important in helping you find a job. So these are all different avenues that you can use to look for jobs. So now I want to focus more on virtual networking. Um, as we move to a more virtual space, virtual networking is going to become very even bigger than what it is. LinkedIn is a great professional networking space. As a recruiter, we heavily rely on LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn recruiter account that allows me to search through thousands of LinkedIn profiles and send messages out to people. So you want to create a profile and make sure you have detailed information on your site. Make online connections. If you're looking for a job, go on LinkedIn, and if you apply for a job on LinkedIn, it will often show you who posted the position. Feel free to reach out to that recruiter directly, and say, hey, I recently applied to the position. I'm sharing my resume with you for review. Hope to hear back from you soon. You want it to be a professional message, but definitely make those online connections and send professional messages to those online connections. In addition to LinkedIn, there's other social media platforms. So there's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and other organizations that you can follow to stay abreast of current events and postings within the company. So LinkedIn is a great way to do virtual networking, is a great way to apply to the jobs, but many companies share their jobs on various social media platforms. So you may want to follow different companies' social media accounts. This one is a very, very, very important thing. Make sure your social media is clean, professional, and portrays a person that they want to hire. So I would say, if you are a person that's going to post controversial things, you want to make sure that your accounts are private. You want to make sure your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, all of those things are private. But when you're searching for a job, that is not the time to make a statement with your political views. You want your accounts to be as professional as possible. You don't want to give them any reason to say, we don't want to hire you. And while virtual networking is great, traditional networking is still going to be important in your job search. Know that some jobs are never advertised. Many employers fill openings by hiring friends, family, and acquaintances of people that work for them. So be sure to tell everyone you know what type of job you're looking for so they can possibly refer you. If you know someone that works for a company, say, hey, just want to let you know I'm on the job market right now. If you have anything, please keep me in mind. Many companies offer referral bonuses, so people are definitely aggressive about their referrals. So many times people will reach out to me like, hi, I referred my brother. Hi, I referred my cousin. Can you please follow up with them directly? They're really aggressive about their referrals. So you definitely want to leverage your personal network and let people know that you're on the job market. So now that we talked about how to find the job, let's say you actually get the interview. I'm going to walk you through different tips for virtual interviews. So let's start with the basics. Technology platforms. Employers are using multiple types of technical platforms to conduct interviews. There's Microsoft Teams, there's Zoom, Skype, WebEx, HireVue. We're even using StreamYard today. It's so many different platforms that you can use. So research the platform and practice to ensure you are comfortable with using it prior to your actual interview date and time. For myself as a recruiter, I actually send tips when I'm sending out a meeting invite. So if I'm sending a meeting invite, like for Microsoft Teams, Teams require you to actually download the app in order to use it. If I'm scheduling an interview as a recruiter, I'm going to let that person know that they need to do that. Um, Zoom also has its own perks. So just make sure you take the time to research the platform and practice to ensure you're comfortable with using it. You want to do different types of prep. So now we'll talk about preparing for a virtual interview. Preparation does not differ from traditional interview prep. You want to think about your skills, your interests, your experience. You want to prepare examples of how you demonstrated the above while tailoring your answer to specific positions you have experience. Research the organization. Review the website to identify mission, services, products, note similarities between the organization and your education, background, and experience. So, this is something I do. If someone reaches out to me for an interview, let's say I'm applying for a job and the interviewer name is Ashley Jones, and she reaches out to me and say, I've scheduled you for an interview with me. Well, I'll go on Ashley Jones LinkedIn to just take a peek, see how long she's been with the company, see if we have anything in common. Oh, I see that you're a Towson alumni as well. So am I. Like those types of things can help form the relationship and just make it a more comfortable setting. So research the organization. If you see that they have a mission, oh, I see that you guys are really good, really great at giving back to the community. I also volunteer at blank, blank, blank. So, just kind of have some understanding of the organization. Prepare responses to questions with focus on mission, services, competition skills, interests, and experiences. Prepare examples of how you demonstrated the above while tailoring your resume to that position. Your responses should include information that will show impact, measurable results, and your contribution to the interview to the organization. Utilize specific percentages if available. So one of the metrics for me as a recruiter is time to fill. So I'll always include in my resume that I have a history of filling roles within 30 to 45 days. I have vacancy rates that are 6% or lower. Like figure out what are the specific percentages for measurable results in your field. Interview setting and location. So, as I mentioned, interview prep is important, and you would prepare the way you would for traditional interviews. But when you're interviewing in a virtual setting, that adds an extra level of preparation. You want to arrange a professional, quiet setting and location for the interview. an office, a small area in your home that has been arranged to look professional, or just a neutral, clean space. So if you see my background, you can see everything in the background. If I was interviewing, I would not do this. I tend to want to interview with a clear background behind me, a solid color wall, those things. You don't want it to look cluttered. There's an option to do virtual green screens, but unless you are a technology person, I would not do that. But if you are, that's a great idea if you're unable to block the clutter behind you, because the green screen will show behind you instead of your actual background. But you want to have a clean space so that it keeps the interviewer from being distracted and they're able to just focus on you. Virtual connections. Ahead of the interview, you want to figure out how the employer is interviewing you. As I mentioned, there's many different platforms. Some people are doing first round interviews via phone. Some people are just doing them completely virtual, like Skype and Zoom. So you want to figure that out ahead of time. You want to ask for the link to the interview ahead of time so you can also prepare. Always enter the meeting a few minutes before the scheduled interview. You want to confirm the volume level on your computer. You want to silence all other devices. So if you have a cell phone nearby, make sure it's on silent. You want to allow time to work through any technical issues on the other end. So I'll give you an example. Like today, I logged in and I noticed that my camera was blurry. I'm like, why is my camera blurry? Well, I logged in 5 minutes before the meeting, so I didn't have time to restart my computer or fix it. So those are different things that you want to look out for. Be patient and professional and adapt to the technical issues. As I mentioned, I logged in today and my camera was blurry, but I just had to adapt to the technical issue and continue to move forward. Dress for success. So, although you're interviewing virtually, you still want to dress professional for the interview. Wear neutral colors, navy, gray, black, and brown. Those are all professional and translate very well into a virtual interview. Stay away from bright colors such as orange, yellow. They look less professional and they don't come across as well on camera. Dressing professional will not only impress the interviewer, but will put you in a professional state of mind. Remember, they can still see you and will be looking for your professional self. This is not the time to be casual. You are to be serious and be prepared. I have received so much feedback from hiring managers where they liked the person, but they felt they were too casual in an interview. You know, it's good to make small talk. It's good to be comfortable with the interviewer, but you want to treat this as an interview. You want to remain professional. You don't want to get too casual, cracking jokes, all of those things. Just stay professional, and being dressed professional can help with that. Virtual interview tips. So you have a virtual wall between you and the employer. So show your personality by being energetic, but being professional. You know, for me, I like to smile. I like to wave to the camera. Even when I leave, I like to, end with a virtual handshake. Those are things that show my personality and it shows my energy. I'm a high energy person, but it's still professional. So you want to do things like that. Articulate your words and speak clearly to ensure the interviewer understands what you are saying. I speak very fast. I'm sure you guys have noticed in hearing with me. So when I'm interviewing, I have to make a point to slow down and speak clearly so that I know they're understanding what I'm saying. It's a little different when you're face to face, but when you're interviewing virtually, this is an extra step that you have to take. Look at the camera and make eye contact. While this may sound difficult, avoid looking directly at yourself or at the keyboard. I don't even like having the camera in front of me. And if I do, meaning I don't like to have the little box in front of me where I can see myself. But if I do, I put that box right underneath of my camera so that I know I'm looking directly at that camera. Wear headphones, wireless if possible. So I have wired earphones right now, but if I was interviewing, I would actually use my wireless earbuds. Um, Headphones can allow you to hear the interviewer clearer, and it will break down the background noises. So if you have wireless, I like those because it just gives a cleaner look. But if you don't, just use your regular headphones. But you want to wear them. It just allows for a cleaner sound on both ends. Close your interview. I So many people forget to close an interview. So when the interviewer asks you if you have any questions, you ask your standard questions, any questions you have about the company, the role, but you always close your interview, and you do so by thanking the interviewer for their time. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. It was a pleasure learning about you and learning more about the team. Um, what are the next steps in the interview process? When can I expect to hear something? Make sure you take the time to close your interview and ask for the next steps. This shows them that you're really interested in the role, but it also gives an idea for you how interested they are in you. If they give you a vague answer like, we're early in the recruiting process, you should hear back from us within the next few weeks, that gives you an understanding to know, okay, I probably should continue to look for other jobs, and you're not just waiting to hear from them every single day. So definitely close your interview by thanking them and ask for the next steps. And then follow up. After your interview, you want to follow up by sending a thank you note via email. I don't recommend doing traditional mail. I always say via email. So send them a thank you note via email. Include something you discussed during the interview as a talking point for the note. So say, thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. It was a pleasure learning about you and the team. After learning more about the role, I think this could be a great fit next step for me in my career. The duties of the position are things that I have experience with, such as sourcing and screening, building relationships, but then mention something that they stated in the interview. So let's say they said internal recruitment is big. I have extensive experience recruiting internal employees, something like that, to make it a bit more personalized. Um, Send an email to a contact if you have not heard back from them, asking the employer if you are being considered for the position. So that if it's been a few weeks and you still haven't heard back from them, and this is a job that you like really want, I recommend sending a follow-up email. Just say, hi, just wanted to follow up regarding my application for the accountant position. I interviewed with Amy 3 weeks ago, and I just wanted to follow up to find out if I'm still being considered for the role and what are the next steps. I look forward to hearing from you soon. So I know that was a lot of information to take in. I hope I didn't go over my time. But do you guys have any questions for me?
Righty. Well, let's give Miss Beezy some virtual hand claps. Amen. That
Thank you.
a absolutely awesome presentation, and I'm glad that we're putting this on Facebook and YouTube, because this would be a great resource for people to share with those that are doing a job search. I thought you did a good job of walking us through the entire process, especially giving great examples. I said I need to be writing some of this down, with some of like how to respond. It was very good, and some of those key tips. I heard some of that recruiter inside information. So this was a great presentation, and I think very appreciative of your time on today. We did have some questions, but you kind of covered most of them. But this here is one for you. For
Okay.
resume tips for today, should people include videos or pictures or
That is a great question. So I will say absolutely positively do not include a photo in your application. Do not do that. It comes across as unprofessional unless you're applying for like a model position or a position where they need to know what you look like. You should not include a photo. As far as videos, if you're applying for a videographer position or UX designer, sometimes people want to see samples of your work. And at that time, you should provide like a link to your portfolio.
Okay. Here is a question from Quinn, who's on the West Coast.
Hi,
She said,
Quinn.
she missed the part on the cover letter. Any updates on what should be in the cover letter other than the things that are not in a resume?
So I will answer that question. It depends on the organization. So as a recruiter, I'll tell you, I never look at a cover letter. None of my hiring managers, they don't look at cover letters. However, some organizations require them. So if when you're applying for the role, if it's listed as a requirement, then I would definitely suggest that you upload a cover letter. You want to tailor the cover letter to the specific position that you're applying to. If you do not have the time to create a tailored cover letter, make it general. You would be surprised at how many people upload cover letters with different companies on there. So they'll have the wrong company and they're just using the same cover letter for every company.
Hmm.
So I am not a huge fan of cover letters. Most people don't even look at them. But for some organizations, I know government, I know higher education, some places require them, but in corporate recruiting, it isn't usually a requirement.
That's a good point because sometimes we people spend a lot of time on those cover letters.
Yes.
Here's one for you. Many people are unemployed during the pandemic, and some people are taking jobs less than what they currently make, even out of their career paths. How do they address that in an interview or on their resume? Because they don't really might not really want to stay there, but they have to take a job to kind of bridge the gap during this pandemic.
I think they share their commitment to this role. I think when they're applying, you let them know, unfortunately, I was impacted due to COVID-19. Use the
Mhm.
word impacted. That's kind of like the key term. I was
Okay.
impacted due to COVID-19. So it's caused me to reassess my career path. And now I'm looking into other career paths. So talk about, how this career path adds value to your life and your commitment to this role. Although it's a step back for me, I am committed to doing a great job in this role.
Okay. Okay. I think that's oh yeah, I think you talked about time to fill as a recruiter, but do you see that the pandemic has lengthened the time it takes for you to hire now? Like give people some sense of when you apply, how frequently or how fast are
Yeah,
people
I say
hiring?
this. Look at how long the position's been posted. So if the
Okay,
position was days ago, it's most likely going to be a longer recruiting process. If the
okay,
position was 3 weeks ago, they've probably already been reviewing resumes and they're coming to the tail end of things.
okay,
So looking at how long the position has been posted is will help you determine how fast the response time will be.
okay,
To me, typically, once you interview, it should be no more than 2 to 3 weeks from a hiring decision.
okay.
But when you have your initial phone interview with them, ask them, what are the next steps in your recruiting process? That will give you an idea of what next steps should look like.
Okay, that's good. 2 to 3 weeks after the interview, that's sort of like a gauge. But when you get that phone interview, because many are doing those preliminary phone interviews, you can
Yeah.
kind of ask about next steps. And you also talked about that doing closing your interview,
Yes.
to kind of get a gauge about where they are. That really is all of the questions because I think everything else you took care of because we asked about effective follow up, and you gave us some great tips on when to follow up. And I like you said follow up by way of email. So that was really good. And so that means during the interview, you need to make sure you get an email address. And you should
Yeah,
probably get
typically
that
when
from
they
the recruiter.
yeah, when they schedule the interview for you, typically when they schedule the interview for you, you should have the email address of the interviewer. If not, you can always send your thank you email to the recruiter and say, can
Okay.
you share this with the members of the interview team?
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you, Miss Beasy, again for your time. Our government recruiter somehow did not jump on, so we're going to have to schedule him next month because next month we're going to continue with this navigating the virtual job search. But we want to thank you for you because your tips are applicable both to government and to corporate. And so we can apply all of the tips that you have. If someone is looking for a job or anything. We're going to try to get some of those key people for you next month as we look to have a representative from Baltimore City Mayor's Office of Employment Development and
Wow.
the State of Maryland Department of Labor, Maryland Workforce Exchange. We are looking to have them aboard so they can kind of help us as one of those people Miss Beasy talked about as finding the job openings. This is a free place, that you can get job openings and job information, and their metric is to hire people. So they have invested interest in filling those positions. So please come back again and join us as we are talking about navigating the virtual job search. Let's thank Miss Chantel Beasy again for
Thank
her
you so much for
time.
inviting me.
I'm so glad you came. It was great information. And please like and share this video across your platforms because this is insider information that will help us during these times. So we thank you again for joining Chosen by God
Thanks.
Ministries, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.